I thought, why the hell not? Let's make a video. So, don't expect anything too polished. It's just literally, I'm reading the dialogue parts aloud. Sorry, the fanfiction is from, what's it? Falling Stars, not Falling Skies. I keep getting them mixed up. The Mech Warrior, My Little Pony fanfiction crossover, and it is, well, not. It's really, really, really well written. At times. There's definitely times where it's like, oh, fanfiction. Why fanfiction? But generally, as a whole, it's an it's well written. It definitely has earlier on, it definitely had the Mech Warrior mindset in mind more, but it's kind of adapted both. It's adapted the tech and attitude and feel of Mech Warrior, her books, to in the My Little Pony universe, and it's pretty well done. But keep in mind, this is an excerpt. I'm starting like halfway from. This is after a major battle. Oh. The information from our repositioned scouts has given us a fair view as the Desperados' approach and intention. Starbuck continued once the map was in place. They have concentrated their mechanized forces and are making a direct route through the forest belt between Canterlot and Manhattan. As he spoke, several large squares marked with an M moved on the map and slowly started pushing towards the dotted green representation of the woodland. The attack on Canterlot had a twofold goal: eliminate the princesses and disrupt our own forces long enough for the enemy to make their march on the capital without harassment. Fortunately, timely assistance from McKenna's troops allowed us to break the attack up, though not without cost, Starbuck added, and then paused to take a brief calming breath. Guard units in Canterlot sustained 46% casualty rate, 2/5 of which were mortalities. Stonewall winced at that, and he felt a hollow pit form in his stomach. After losing so many on the first day, he muttered, and then shook his head slowly. Then slowly shook his head. There is good news, General, Starbuck said, and then waited for the Red Pony to return his attention back to the briefing. The Griffin attack was not entirely successful, and thanks to that, we still have order in the city. And most of our command structure intact. Our troops are being reinforced as we speak by trains coming in from Baltimore, Philadelphia, Las Pegasus, Las Negas, and Appaloosa. In addition, those same trains are carrying evacuees to the outlying cities and towns along the railroad network, Starbuck added. If the enemy reaches Canterlot, we'll stand a better chance of holding the city and keeping civilian losses low. If the enemy reaches Canterlot? Stonewall asked, as he raised his eyebrows skeptically. Son, I'm not one to give up easily, but I ain't seen much that can stop them invaders when they set their minds to it. That's where we come in. McKenna spoke up, and then waited until he had everyone's attention before he turned to the lanky man, hand at his side. Armies, bring up Plan Buford. Yes, sir, Schneider replied, a faint smirk briefly playing over his lips. He tapped at the controls a bit, and the glowing map changed again, this time showing several blue boxes marked with M moving out along with several arrays of blue dots. As you can see, there's a ridge of hills that stretched away from the feature your people call Full Mountain, and that the enemy will have to move across, McKenna continued, as the various blue markers moved and interposed themselves between the red icons and Canterlot. We plan to get there first, and then use the hills as a brief engagement zone to hold the enemy as long as we can, and then fall back to the human squinted his eyes, and then grimaced as he read the lettering on the map. Glitter Falls River, he said, with a sense of distaste about him. We'll use that as another engagement zone, and then conduct a series of hit-and-run raids through the forest belt leading up to Canterlot. Hopefully, we'll do enough damage in those engagements and raids that will be able to whittle down O'Connell's forces is down to the point where he won't have enough to stage an assault against your capital. Stonewall contemplated the plan for a few silent moments. What do these icons mean? He said, waylaying his opinion as he sought more information. The larger squares marked with an M stand for mech warrior for battle mech companies. The smaller ones denote lances. The dots represent infantry forces. The red pony shot a look at the lanky human, and then turned a hard eye to McKenna. I take it you're going to want some of our troops, then? He cautiously asked. James bit his lip for a minute, then nodded. Yes, he said flatly. Frankly, I really wouldn't want to. Sorry, this is McKenna. Yes, frankly, I really wouldn't want to, given how terrible standard infantry suffers on a modern battlefield. But no mechanized force is impervious or omnipotent. Infantry are always needed to do what the machines can't. And 1,100 years of industrialized warfare hasn't changed that. The real problem is that, for the large part, your soldiers haven't been fully trained in modern tactics, nor have the kind of equipment needed to give them a real edge in combat, McKenna added. We started working on both of these issues, but unfortunately we just don't have the time for them to bear all the fruits they could. Stonewall raised an eyebrow at that. But you have something, right? Something, McKenna echoed with a nod. We've been given some additional training to some of Captain Starbuck's troops, and they've taken the lessons to heart. We've learned a few things about y'all as well, and I think we have got some force multipliers that can help keep your boys alive and efficient. Sorry about my atrocious accent. I used to get the feeling McKenna would be kind of Scottish, kind of Irish. Somewhere around there. And I'm not proficient enough in accents to create complete voices for everyone. But I will try my best. Not a lot of my... Hold on a second. Never mind. There's not a lot of my soldiers who've been trained by the Dark Horse. Starbuck interjected. Not enough to form a real unit. We're bringing them here along with the rest of McKenna's forces to distribute them to other units. Hopefully they'll be able to pass along enough knowledge to increase our effectiveness. And we plan to give them enough time to do that, McKenna added. hence the delaying tactics in our battle plan. A silence fell over the room as Stonewall again considered the plan. He sighed after a few minutes of this, and then nodded. Well, I ain't seen a worse plan yet, he grumbled. And I ain't got any better ideas. Any plan, even a I'm sorry, I'm trying to go German on this one. Any plan, even a half-assed one. I'm sorry, I'm jerking this guy. Fuck it. Any plan, even a half-assed one, is better than no one at all. The human named Herbie spoke up. Neither us nor the desperados came here prepared for a campaign drop. And we're doing the best we can with what we have. And we're playing catch-up to thousands of years of technological advances in military thought. Starbuck chimed in. Then, somewhat surprisingly to the general, he grinned. Still, I feel better about it knowing that we're starting to I feel better about it now that we're starting to pull things together. Like what? Like what? Stonewall evenly asked. As if summoned, a rumble was heard in the distance, and McKenna smiled. Like that. Come on, he said, and turned to walk from the table. I want you all to meet my wife. And that's the scene. Yeah, it's a fun little thing, and if you get a chance, read it. I'm probably going to put the link to the first chapter in the description. It's a fun fan fiction, and like I said, pretty decently written. Keep in mind, I have a shitty voice actor right now. But I'm trying my best. But, yeah, that's Bar Falling Skies. That's really interesting, well, not interesting, but it's pretty standard for MechWarrior stuff, but basically, the premise is, I've actually noticed that all mech crossovers into My Little Pony universe start this way, of some sort of explosion going off during the jump phase of a jump ship, during a jump ship's actual jump to its next stage, and that causes that rift in the space-time continuum or something or other, and that ends up causing them to go to Equestria, or more appropriately, the star space near where Equestria is, and I'm using Equestria in that sense as the country and the planet. It's still not known whether or not Equestria is a planet or a country. But a lot of people get that planet. But yeah, you got your jump ships bringing two mercenary companies back to two competing mercenary companies back home from a job. Like the way they have it set up in Mech Warriors, that jump ships kind of work like taxis for drop ships, and a lot of mercenary companies and other things base their operation out of a drop ship. Now, not considering drop ship and things like just small transport, not in the slightest. Drop ships can be absolutely massive. The ones that, if I remember, the one that the Dark Horse mercenaries are, they only recently updated the story, and I haven't read it for a while, so I'm trying to remember, but I think they used a Leopard class dropship, which carries like 4 mechs. And if you know anything about mechs, they're kind of huge. But it carries 4 mechs, a arrow wing, a fighter port, or and this is all speculation. But point is, they run their operation off of a dropship, and so does the Desperados. They were both coming home from their respective jobs, and they were on the jump ship when its jump went awry. Still no explanation as to why. It had a bit of a sabotage thing going on. Someone sabotaged it and planted a bomb to go off on that. So at some point they have to explain that. It's kind of implied that it was supposed to destroy the dropship, or hinder it enough that it wouldn't be able to get back to a certain sector in time to deliver the 2 mercenary units to support battle. But I really hope they explain something more along it, because while it's good and a better explanation than a lot of fanfiction does, it's still only a partial explanation. Anyway, I'm getting way off topic. They're catching a ride on this jump ship, excuse me. Going through, yeah, and I'm sorry, train of thought crashed, and back. Yes. They're catching a ride back on the jump ship, and bomb goes off. They get to Equestria, and to Equestrian Star Space. The Desperado dropship drops down to the planet to have a look around. No. They scan and see something. One reason they go down and start trying to, and realize that's why they go down to the planet, because they realize that the only military that Equestria has is essentially a sticks and stones unit. It spears something nice and simple. While effective in combat to a mech, it's not really good, at all. So they drop down, I think, in Manhattan. Yeah, they drop down in Manhattan and unload and pretty much start taking over the place. It's guns blazing. Where are the rulers now? Kind of a thing. In which a really beautiful battle between Celestia and the mechs. Oh my god, Celestia kicks so much ass. But not gonna spoil it for you. Yes. McKenna's unit goes down. I forget why they go down, but they go down to the surface and end up, I think, in the Everfree. They go down in the Everfree, and basically they end up fighting. The mechs end up fighting. There's no other way. They end up fighting. And I realize I'm not doing a good job of selling this, but keep in mind I'm not good at selling things in general. Doesn't mean it's not good. Objectively, I'd give it like 3 stars. I have a huge personal bias though, because it's MechWarrior done well, and not just with the mechs and the things. They're mechs. They're mechs. Yeah. It's actually done in the BattleTech book style. Like at the beginning of each chapter, it gives name, location, it gives out location. I think it's still start date for this one. I don't know. Date, location, and setting and all that kind of thing. And all the things are written kind of in the style too. I can't really explain it, but I think if you know what I mean, you'll know what I'm talking about. If that makes any sense at all. But yeah, check it out. Falling Stars. It's pretty good. It's decent. It's pretty decent. And it's, if nothing else, it's definitely a fun read. If you're looking for a good, objectively good MechWarrior MLP crossover fanfiction, The Thessalonica Legacy. It has gotten a legendary ranking on EQD and has earned that ranking very, very well. It definitely focuses more on the MLP half of it, but that's not a bad thing in the slightest. And it does pay attention to the MechWarrior stuff that it came from. It's definitely a little bit more seriously toned. God, I have to read that actually again because it's been a while. But it has earned its legendary ranking. That said, I'm looking back, I'm starting to realize I kind of like this one like a lot. And a lot more than I remember liking Thessalonica Legacy. That said, Thessalonica Legacy is good. It's just good. Objectively and admittedly with my bias, good. Check them both out. I know that I first read them both on fanfiction.net, and I think they might be on FimFiction, but don't quote me on that. But I better wrap this up. We are approaching 20. We have just passed the 22-minute mark. Yeah. Until next time. Stay Shaba.